There she goes. I just talked to the transport company and I paid the deposit so that we can get the house moved within the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today is December 1st, and we're really trying to get the tiny house moved off of the lot before the end of the month so that we don't have to pay for another month. That's really the goal. So this is kind of the final push to get everything cleaned and secured, especially the fridge and the wood stove. Those are like the two big things that we have to figure out. I went back to cleaning while I waited to get the text from the transportation company about possibilities for scheduling. And this little corner behind the shelving is one of the only spots that we never covered the original flat paint. And this is exactly why I'm glad we're moving things to clean. This has not been moved in 7 years. This is the original paint, and this has been against the wall for that whole time. You can see all the dust. Just any little spot just seems to collect so much dust. I was cleaning all of the corners, kind of taking my time, thinking that we had about 2 weeks before the tiny house would get picked up. But little did I know that timeline was about to get pushed forward. Okay, so the new plan we're working on is just taking everything out. Instead of strapping the wood stove and the fridge in, we're just going to take them out. Make it as light as possible. Pat already took out the wood stove and the pipe. Got ash everywhere. And then we're taking the doors off the fridge. And we're going to take the fridge out. Just to make it as light as possible.
And yeah, we don't have to worry about this getting free and bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, we were really stressing over how to attach it to the wall so that it would be secure enough. And it was different because when the house was delivered, we didn't have the flooring done, so they literally just drilled everything into the floor to anchor it, and I don't want to ruin our flooring. So that makes it a little harder, and I don't really trust the wall, so I think this is probably, it's a little more annoying because we have to move more stuff, but I think it's going to be safer in terms of just the transport. The night before, I got a text from the transport company asking if we could have the tiny house ready in 2 days, by Monday, that they had a driver who was ready to pick up on Monday, and we thought, well, I guess we can make that happen. So Saturday turned into the big push to get everything ready to hit the road. We had our neighbor Chuck come over, who was in trucking and transportation for many, many years, and he gave us some advice on how to give the tiny house the best chance of arriving in Florida in one piece. And he suggested that we just take the appliances out so that nothing ended up breaking free or moving around in transportation, and then we'll just use a U-Haul to bring it down with the rest of our stuff. I was like gonna close the screen door. I was like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, I took it off.
It's kind of nice in here without the fridge.
Yeah.
It really opens it up.
You really need it inside here anyway.
Yeah. I'm even thinking maybe we just put the fridge in one of the sheds.
Yeah.
And then have like a mini fridge in here. Mm-hmm. There's enough space.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
The next thing we needed to do was detach the washer dryer and get that out. And this is actually heavier than the fridge, so this was the trickier part. Thank goodness Patrick is able to move these things himself. It looks like a different house.
Yeah.
Over the past 7.5 years living full-time in the tiny house, we have accumulated some things. As much as we tried to stay on the minimalist end of things, when you're living full-time in such a small space, and we have a lot of hobbies which come with a lot of stuff, and we really didn't have much outdoor storage at all. So things accumulated in our house, and it was hard to keep that spacious feeling, but hopefully in Florida, since we have some sheds and some outbuildings, we'll be able to maintain that spaciousness. Patrick worked on cleaning off the roof, and I was getting the inside ready. Pat's going up to take the cap off and to seal the top, because it's probably going to be a while before we get down there. We want to make sure that there isn't any like rain or moisture that gets in here, so he's going to seal off that top. It looks like he got the cap. The other day we were over here and Pat was trying to unplug, this is the power cord for the tiny house, and he unscrewed this thing, which holds it in place, and he could not get it out. And now we see why. Something happened. I don't know what, but see how the plastic is melted a little bit. I don't know. And there you can see those top two are like burnt a little bit around them. Bottom one's alright, but I don't know what. I'm lucky the electrical system still works. How'd you get it out?
Force.
You just pulled?
Yeah, you have to twist them, but it was fused together.
That's so crazy. I wonder how long it was like that. Or if that was like a, I don't know, like an electrical surge or something. But don't we have a surge protector?
Not on this one.
Not on this one. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I thought it was like built in.
Me too. Oh well. Well,
we'll get one.
Yeah.
But we're lucky the electrical's still working.
Yeah, I just have to replace this, take this all off.
You can replace that, okay.
And then hook up new wires, take this completely off.
Yeah.
Just had to clean it up, but it was a grounding issue.
Again.
So if you look at this part right here, hooked up to the light for grounding, yeah, the white wire. Just had to take that off, clean it up, take a wire brush to it, and hook it back up, and it turned back on. All the lights worked pretty good. I really didn't want to take the lights apart or anything because these are all like one unit and they're sealed. So it's not like you can replace a bulb.
So that was one more thing off the list.
Yeah.
So we're getting close. Those are the new tires that we got. It's kind of a shame that they're only going to be used for one trip. They're literally going to go 1,000 miles and then hopefully probably never roll again because we
just take them off.
We're never doing this again. This is a one and done.
We're not moving it off the property.
Never again.
If this comes off the property, it's coming off in pieces. We're going to scrap metal it.
You ready to go to Florida? All right, soon. The tiny house is looking really good, ready to move, and Redford looked like he was ready to go to Florida, but unfortunately the house was going to be transported. We were going to stay in New Jersey for a little while longer. The tiny house is getting close to being ready to go, and last night I was talking to the transportation company and he said, how quickly can you have the house ready? And I was talking to Pat and I was like, I don't know, what do you think, like 2-3 days maybe? Because we just had to figure out the wood stove and the fridge and get some last minute stuff out of here. And he said, well, I could have a driver there Monday. And I was like, oh my God. Like, that was on Friday afternoon. He was telling us it could be Monday that it moves. So we thought about it for a little while and we were like, all right, Pat called our neighbor Chuck, who was a truck driver for like 30 years. And he's a mechanic. So he came over and helped Pat take the wood stove down because they decided it's better not to try to anchor it, because if it does break loose during the process and it's like banging around in here, it's going to do some serious damage. It'll ruin the wood stove. It'll ruin everything that it comes in contact with. So they figured just easier to take that stuff out. It's just a couple extra things and it'll keep the tiny house safer and more balanced so that the transport of this is a little bit easier. But to be totally honest, last night I was kind of freaking out a little bit. Just the idea of the house like being transported and then just feeling really disappointed that we can't be down there when it gets delivered, that we're just gonna have to let them drop it. And I don't know when we're gonna get back down there. So we're not gonna be able to like check on it and see if anything broke or, make sure it's okay, make sure it's in the right spot. We can't really do any of those things, but it is what it is. It's really hard figuring all this stuff out from another part of the country. If it was a couple hours away and we could drive there and drive back in a short period of time, I think this would be a lot easier, but because the distance is so large, it's not easy for us to just pop over to the property and to like take care of little things or to be able to be there for the delivery of the tiny house. So I think I was really feeling a lot of that stress yesterday, but after having Chuck look everything over and say, it looks really good, the trailer is in great shape. We have a very good heavy duty trailer on the tiny house, thank goodness. because that's really the most important thing. And he said the tires we got put on were great. Everything looks really good. We just have to kind of button up a couple things, and then she should be in the best shape possible for transport. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that. But this is still a really nerve-wracking process that our house is literally going to be rolling 1,000 miles from here to Florida. But we're just going to do everything we can to make it as smooth as possible. It's looking pretty empty in here. It's weird. It's like a view of the tiny house that we've never had, because the fridge and the washer dryer were installed when it was delivered. So this is more open than we've ever seen it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Flooring.
Yeah, with the flooring. I know, because when we got it, it was all unfinished. So, but I think it's looking pretty good. Get all this stuff out tomorrow and then we'll be ready.
It's as roadworthy as it's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to put all the camping gear in here, so we can use that if we fly down.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay, one more day. This process has brought up so many mixed feelings. We are extremely excited to be taking this big step of moving the tiny house to our own piece of property in Florida. But we are also really sad to be leaving this place that we have really enjoyed living in for the past 7.5 years, and some of the great people that we have met here. And we're also really sad that we can't make the transition down to Florida ourselves yet. We're still waiting for a lot of things on the property to get done before we can go down. All right, today's the day. We just got the call that the driver's on his way. Should be here any minute, really. So hopefully she fits out of here and all goes well. Although the tiny house is regulation height to drive on most roads, when it was delivered, it pulled down one of the cable lines at the end of our street. So we were concerned about the house having enough clearance to get out of the campground. But first we had to get all of the stabilizer jacks up, and we didn't realize this one in the front corner was actually stuck. Pat had to use a mallet for several minutes to get it to actually turn up into its driving position. But luckily we got everything situated, and the driver was pretty eager to start the 1,000-mile trip from southern New Jersey to northern Florida. And then the tiny house moved for the first time in 7.5 years. This part was a bit stressful, but everything was working okay.
You're good, Barb?
Yep, it's okay. The driver had to maneuver the house forward and back a couple times because the front driver's side corner was very close to this tree, which seems to be a little bit more angled than it was when the tiny house was originally parked here. But he did a great job maneuvering around this first obstacle. His tires look good. After a bit of maneuvering, the tiny house rolled off of the cement pad. All right, here we go. Now the challenge was to keep an eye on the branches and the low-hanging wires to make sure we didn't get caught on anything. That branch. Good thing we got metal siding. We had the driver go to the right coming out of our campsite because there seemed to be fewer obstacles if you looped around that way, but we hadn't considered how long this branch was. Oh, it's all right. We made it. No damage. I didn't even think about that branch. Pat walked alongside with the driver and kept an eye on all the overhead wires to make sure that we had enough clearance. And since the tiny house is so tall, there were just a couple inches at most of those spots. But we knew the hardest part was just getting out of the campground. Once he was out on the main road, things should be completely fine. Then we just had to worry about I-95 being nice to the tiny house on her journey down toward Florida. Let's hope that everything goes well. Well, the ladder's still in place. That's a good sign. There she goes. I was sad to see the house disappear around the corner, but she looked really good, and I was feeling confident that the house was going to be able to handle this process well. That's so strange. What, it took all of maybe like 20 minutes?
Probably.
Half hour to get it hooked up, and the hardest part was just getting the jacks up. I forgot.
Yeah, I knew there was going to be something, and I forgot the jacks. When you bring them up, I'm just normally bringing them up, but they actually fold in, and I totally forgot.
Yeah,
about
you have
that.
to like lift them and then fold it. I forgot about that too.
So they've been sitting there a while. The back ones are easy, but the front ones just need some coaxing.
Yeah, you got it though.
Yeah.
She's on her way. All right. Gosh, I wonder if he drove up from Miami today.
I hope he didn't.
Oh man, and then he's right back down to
I
Florida.
hope he didn't. I hope he just went to a stop and relaxed.
Well, he's probably like, it's too dang cold up here.
I know,
Get
yeah,
the heck out of here. It was like 32 degrees this morning. It is cold.
He's hauling his ass.
It's so strange to look at this though, and it's just like, it's gone.
It's going somewhere.
It's rolling down the road.
That's the thing. It's going somewhere.
Oh, all right. Now we just wait for the phone call tomorrow. We spent some time standing on the empty cement pad and just thinking about what it was like living here in such a small structure for the past 7.5 years. And it reminded us a lot of the day that we were standing on this same spot waiting for the tiny house to get delivered, with so much excitement and anticipation of what this was going to be like living in a tiny house. The tires looked great. They looked so good.
You can't do any better.
I felt pretty solid with it yesterday when I did the walkthrough. Everything was taped that I could put tape on. This was our view for a long time. I mean, it looks a lot different than when we moved in, when we were first standing here, like waiting for the house to get delivered. It came around that corner and ripped the cable line down.
We didn't think about it.
Oh, yeah. But the good thing is, so we were waiting, we put a hammock in between these two trees, and then we immediately got in trouble because you're not supposed to hang anything on the trees, especially not hammocks.
We're putting a hammock up.
So I think first thing we're gonna do when we move onto our properties, I think we put like multiple hammocks.
Yeah, we're gonna have rest areas all over the place.
As many hammocks as we want. But no, it's been good. It's been really good living here. I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss the people.
Miss the neighbors. Yeah.
Gonna miss the people a lot. But it's time for us to have our own space.
Yeah, this was a great place. I can't talk better things about it.
No. Alright. Now we gotta get the appliances out of our yard because this looks terrible.
Looks like a tiny house bomb went off.
Oh my gosh. That's awful. We spent some time loading up the appliances and moving them over into storage. And then we got to spend some time thinking about all the great experiences that we have had through this process of having our house built, having it delivered, the feelings of overwhelm that we actually did this, and wondering if we were going to like it. We quickly learned that living with 2 people and a dog in less than 200 square feet was not easy, but it was always interesting and full of challenges and things to figure out. It was very much an adventure, and sometimes we would forget how different this was from the way that most people live. We were so glad to have this experience living in the tiny house and being in this wonderful community with all of the people that we got to meet. We had only planned on being here for a couple of years while we figured things out for the next stage of our plan. But life had all sorts of surprises and ups and downs and challenges that we had to work through. But that whole time, we kept our eye on the goal of being able to purchase our own property and move the tiny house to its permanent location. We have so enjoyed living here and all the memories and experiences that have come with it. And we are looking forward to this process of continuing the tiny house lifestyle in Florida and seeing what that has in store for us. Make sure that you are subscribed so that you can follow along with this next piece of our tiny house story. And thank you so much to our Patreon members for supporting the production of these videos so that we can share them with you. We will see you in the next one.
To be where and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air. And 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and no time flies.
Oh, he's gonna hit my whole teeth.